99 The Moose, live online at K105.com via the Apple and Android smartphone app using the SoundCloud, iTunes, or Spotify podcast, on Facebook, on YouTube, on the platform formerly known as Twitter, and the hashtag is In The Know. Coming up today, we'll update you on the latest news headlines from around the community, the county, the Commonwealth, and the country. How long will the rain and wind hang around? We'll tell you about that. Also, just kind of catch up on the adventures of everyone around the show. That and a whole lot more coming up today here on In The Know. He's the 5-time winner of the coveted Ohio News Hawk Award. He's the 2-time Silver Sound nominee, covering every corner of the globe: London, Budapest, Rio, Tokyo, and even Litchfield. He's Sam Gormley and the Sparks. Morning, Sam.
Morning, Ralph. Morning, Ralph. Sorry, had to turn myself up a little bit. Good, how are you?
Not too bad. I saw, were you following along baseball and softball last night? Did I hear that on the diamond both teams got victories?
Yes. Cougars, both of them won. Let me just pull up my notes here really quick. Baseball won 6-2. They're now 6-0.
I thought I heard Ken say this morning they're unbeaten.
Yeah, 6-0. Jaron Van Meter had 6 strong innings on the mound. I know Levi Rogers had a couple of RBIs as well. And then the Lady Cougars, they went in, on a 6-game losing streak to Caverna, and they just said, we're going to take all of our anger out on you. And they were winning 16-0 before Caverna even had swung the bats yet. And I might not be a expert when it comes to the game of softball, but if you're winning by 16 and the other team hasn't had a chance to take a swing, that's probably a recipe for success. And
could be an indicator the Colonels need some pitching.
Yes, and that or the Lady Cougars were rolling too. They were.
I'm going to go with it's probably a combination of the two.
Exactly. But the Lady Cougars won in 3 innings, 23-1 against Caverna. They play. They have to go to Morgantown tonight, so good luck to them as it's their first district game of the year.
Are both those teams traveling next week for spring break? Do you know that far into the schedule?
Yeah, but softball has a couple of home games next week.
Gotcha.
There's one day that they play Russellville at home. Baseball is, they're going to Louisville Butler, so I
don't know if that's
technically they're traveling. I think they're staying up in Louisville, but I don't think, to answer your question, I don't think that's what you were meaning.
Maybe they're going to the Louisville Slugger Museum on spring break.
I would hope so. That's a great museum.
See where all
I know that Chase Blaine would be very jealous.
Oh, that'd be neat. First Baptist Church Litchfield knows him as their associate pastor. The Internal Revenue Service knows him as Dennis C. Cook. You and I lovingly know him as...
The name's Yukon Cornelius.
Yukon Cornelius. Morning, Humble Bumble.
Oh my goodness, that was wonderful.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very well. As your, I'm kind of hoping your birthday tour has sort of wound down. I want to hear some of your exploits in segment B, but so I don't want to get down in the nitty gritty of it. But
sure. Can
we say that your birthday celebration is borderline too long? You almost ran into Sam's birthday. That's
happy
what I'm...
Happy belated birthday, Sam, by the way.
Thank you.
That's true. I didn't want to intrude, but here I am.
It's kind of the thing. That's where my rights end is where your rights begin. Your birthday ends where Sam's begins.
Well,
okay,
I just thought he was going to go to your birthday and just roll all the way to the end of July.
If we didn't call him in to check, he would. So that's.
Is that what's happening now?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. You're being
intervention.
The lines are being clearly drawn at this moment. Hey, windy and warm today with some scattered afternoon storms. We're going to see a wind advisory hanging around until 5 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to see a low end threat for some strong storms this afternoon. I don't think that's probably moving through our area. And Sam, have our friends at Wave gotten fancy with the weather graphic?
What, you don't think I make these every morning?
Wow, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I'm just noticing the sky conditions are in there. Wow. We'll wait till. Ooh, now I'm fascinated.
Yeah,
We're gonna see,
I got distracted too because now I'm looking. I'm like, oh, well, is that partly cloudy? Is that mostly cloudy? I don't know.
Exactly. It leaves a lot to be. It seemed very subjective to me, and that kind of makes me nervous. Rain chance at 40% today, a high of 68. Partly cloudy, 39 tonight, and clearing skies for tomorrow with a high of 58. I forgot to
just
also
look at this
mention-
difference. I mean, it's
Oh yeah, I mean one looks like kindergartners did it, and one looks like Ansel Adams did it. I don't know what. I also forgot to mention that Rose Booth will be stopping by for a conversation at the end of this segment. So have a quick conversation with her about an event coming up on Friday that you need to be aware of. I woke up this morning, much as many of you did, to this tragedy in Baltimore, in the Bay of Baltimore. The Francis Scott Key Bridge was run into by a shipping vessel loaded down and headed for, I think, Singapore or something like that. If you're watching, you can see just about the time the bridge, on this picture, the bridge is still above water, but on its way into the water. And so they have 6 people who are unaccounted for in this bridge collapse. Obviously, it's a main thoroughfare of traffic across the area. There's 3 ways across the Baltimore Bay, and 2 of them are tunnels. One of them is this bridge. So the long-term implications to this are going to be staggering. But they had as many as 20 people in the water, some of which who were driving across the bridge, some of which who were working as construction workers doing bridge repair. I think they were maybe pouring concrete. So that became obviously an issue. But if you see the video live, and I think probably if you've turned on a television this morning, you've seen it. You can see this ship struggled as it approached that bridge. The lights went on and off and on and off. So they either perhaps lost control of their rudder, lost some type of power otherwise. Maybe they lost instruments, being able to know where they were. And then you can see suddenly, you can see some black smoke that billows out of the stack on this, like they were trying to make a sudden evasive move to keep from running into this bridge pillar, but it hit it significantly and collapsed in a matter of seconds. And it's probably one of the most dramatic things that you're going to see. If you thought the bridge issue in Louisville last month was dramatic, and it was, by the way, there's no doubt about that. This to see this happen in real time is unbelievable as well. So prayers for all the first responders, the Coast Guard's on the scene. I just think we don't fully appreciate, when you see it on TV, we don't fully appreciate the scale until, if you're watching Fox News now, you see a Coast Guard vessel that is driving through the wreckage, and you see how small the Coast Guard vessel looks compared to the bridge structure that's in the water. I mean, getting that bridge off the bottom of the river there is just going to be amazing to watch in the coming days. So more information to come out of that. Also, a dramatic scene yesterday. You might have seen aerial photography in the Bardstown area of the horse trailer that crashed and led to hauling horses from Arkansas to Keeneland, and lost at least a few horses involved, maybe some others, because there were some that died at the scene, and then there were others that were extremely injured. But shut down the Bluegrass Parkway for a long time yesterday. By last night, they had 1 lane westbound that was open to traffic. So that's at least according to the Transportation Cabinet. A couple of the headlines close to home today. Grayson County is preparing to sue an unknown entity for allegedly damaging a county roadway. The fiscal court on Thursday held an executive session to discuss potential litigation. Following the session, Judge Executive Kevin Henderson said the county is preparing a lawsuit. He said, we've been discussing potential litigation, and we need to get a motion from the court for the county attorney to proceed with a lawsuit with some damage to a road within the county. They didn't list the location, nor did they list the potential defendant, but said that both those would be released in the coming weeks whenever the suit is prepared and filed. We were just talking about that Clark Memorial Bridge. An Indiana man has been charged for his role in a crash on the Clark Memorial Bridge, what people in Louisville call the 2nd Street Bridge. It propelled the tractor trailer through the bridge railing. Well, 33-year-old Trevor Branham of Jeffersonville was charged with 4 counts of felony wanton endangerment and driving on a suspended license. Those charges arose after witnesses told law enforcement that Branham, who was driving a pickup truck, was speeding and weaving through traffic when he struck a stalled vehicle. He then lost control truck entered the opposite lane of travel where the Branham's truck struck the semi, and then that was what caused it to leave its lane and dangle precariously over the side of the bridge. So now we know a little bit more about what happened at that scene. An aluminum company has singled out northeastern Kentucky as its preferred site for a new aluminum smelter that would bring about 1,000 permanent jobs to the Appalachian region that was hard hit by the loss of coal and steel production. Century Aluminum intends to build a smelter that produces dramatically lower emissions, will be supported by $500 million from the U.S. Department of Energy. The project has the potential to become the largest investment on record in eastern Kentucky. Now, I can't help but think back to the Bevin administration. You know, that turned into a boondoggle where the state became a shareholder in a facility that was not exactly in the location, but in that part of the state. Let's hope it comes to fruition this time. And they already have a Century Aluminum, or as our friends across the pond say, aluminum. They don't say aluminum, they say aluminum. And they already have a couple of plants in western Kentucky, so bring it on, as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. Let's skip this. You don't want to talk about that. You don't want to talk about. I know both you gentlemen were tuned in to the John Calipari show last night. The final John Calipari show
of the year,
at least of the season, and I mean, it could be further. I know some of what Dennis is going to say, so I'll start with Sam. What was your takeaway, Sam?
I could have done the show for him and said exactly what he was going to say.
Yeah.
I don't think he said anything wrong, though.
No, I think he did fine. I think he didn't reveal too much. He doesn't want to telegraph too much of his defense to Barnhart today.
But at the same time Cal is a politician.
Yes, without a doubt. Maybe the state's biggest politician.
Yes, he is a politician, and at heart, so he's not going to make a mistake as far as in that realm when he knows he has the fire. Where he's loose, that's where the mistakes happen for him, like politicians will do when their backs are against the wall or they're trying to fight back in some instance. But
I'm going to take you through the sequence last evening. We'll just kind of recreate it like it's happening real time. Dennis, I did not hear enough mea culpa in Cal's remarks last night.
Yeah. I want to Google it again to remind myself of what Mark's text always make me Google words and phrases. I don't know Latin off the top of my head. No, but he can always say he kind of alluded to this later. You were kind of prophetic last night in your text. 2 or 3 things he would go on to say, but he would always say, don't put it on these kids, right? And that's a very fair statement. But he also needs to say, when he says put it on me instead, because it's my fault, I'm the coach. I needed to hear statements last night that alluded to that as well. That was more than, well, they were young and Oakland was older and the guy got hot. What do you do? I need to hear things like, this has gone on far too long. This is not who we are, and we have to make major changes moving forward to continue to be that gold standard. And I didn't really take away that information last night.
I just thought there wasn't enough contrition as far as it being his fault. Now, to say, hey, the standard here is national championships and it's not Final Four banners and blah, blah, blah. And the standard goes back to Coach Rupp, but yes, it does. Now, where's the part where I hear that you haven't gotten the job done? Like, where is your, and he made some.
In all seriousness, what does that do? Does that really change anything?
It may not change anything, but for a person who seems insulated and aloof to how unhappy the fan base is with him, I think just standing up and taking it is at least one step of saying, yeah, I get it. I hear you. Because I think sometimes he's a little too much like Donald Trump. He's just surrounded by people that won't tell him the truth, or he refuses to listen to the truth and stays in this insulated la-la land of alternate reality.
Yeah, what's happened over the past 4 years or so, I have felt like an outsider as a fan. I have been talked to or talked at like I'm the enemy, like he has divided this line of it's him and his players over there and it's the fans over here, and we're always wrong. You know, it's not we're embraced together, we're one unit like the Big Blue Nation always has been. There's two sides.
So I know tomorrow, I know his tone was that he expects to be back next year. So I'll ask you, Sam, this time tomorrow, is John Calipari still the UK head coach?
Without question.
All right, Dennis?
I think so. After him being able to do the show last night, listening to Matt Jones' Twitter space or whatever it's called last night, I think that the collective idea is that this is the last hoorah. This is your chance to turn the ship.
I think this is strike 4. Right? This is your opportunity for strike 4. That's what is my guess is what's going to happen.
Mitch has a terrible decision to make. You know,
it's an
yes
impossible.
And no
yeah.
is the impossible decision. But you know, listening to the show last night, I think Tom Leach deserves a great deal of credit. He ran a great interview. He asked difficult questions in the right tone, and he knows how to have that conversation with Cal, and he did a great job.
Do you think Tom gets paid by the word? Because if he's not making a whole lot of money, if he's getting paid by the word,
yeah, that's true.
You don't know. All right,
that
gentlemen,
makes
stand.
the interview harder, right? Like you have to jump in and have 2 seconds to get something in before he takes it left.
I just appreciated Cal, you've got 10 seconds.
Dennis quit early. Dennis quit listening early, and so I had to say, by the way, it's 5 minutes after the top of the hour, and he's still talking. He just doesn't know the show is over.
I had to turn it off. I just couldn't anymore. I could have scripted 75% of what was said.
Yeah, that's right. All right, fellas, stand by, okay?
Yep.
All right. Rose Booth is with the Grayson Springs chapter of the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution. Good morning, Rose. Welcome.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me.
So many things in our community are named Grayson County or the Twin Lakes or Litchfield or Caneyville or Clarkson. Your chapter of the DAR is the Grayson Springs chapter. And why is that?
The reason that we're named Grayson Springs is because when I started the chapter, I had to submit 3 names. And you couldn't do like they used to do with people's names anymore, any Patriots' names. So we figured Grayson Springs would be great because of the history of it, and it's beautiful and the things that went on there. So we chose that, Twin Lakes, and there was another one. And DAR actually picked the one that we had.
For those people who don't really understand the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution, how would you explain it to someone who's not familiar?
It's a lineage organization for women. It began in the 1800s, and many of the president's wives have been regents of it, of the DAR. And we have 80-something chapters in Kentucky alone. The lineage comes down from a patriot who gave service in some way in the American Revolution, not only fighting, but they could have given goods, they could have provided food, they could have done anything. And it could be a man or a woman, the patriot. And so that's what we do. We follow the lineage all the way down to the current person, and our registrar, she goes and she verifies all of that, sends it into Washington, and then they become a member.
Many people don't realize it's just coincidence coming up on Friday that it happens to be Good Friday, but also many people are unaware that it's Vietnam War Veterans Day. It's a carve-out that's different from the normal Veterans Day, and it commemorates a date in 1973 when the last troops, the last POWs came out of Vietnam, or at least that's my understanding of the history of it. So that presents a special opportunity for your chapter. How are you honoring Vietnam veterans coming up on Friday?
Well, our chapter is very, very pro-veteran, and we try to do a lot of different things for them. And what we've done over by the American Legion Memorial, American Legion Veterans Memorial, we've put our own memorial to the left of it for the Vietnam vets, and it's a pad and a bench and a plaque. And we dedicated that back in probably 8 years ago. And so the Vietnam vets wanted something they could go to that was not in the middle of the hubbub, and it's up in the trees, and so that's what we did. This is where we're laying a wreath to commemorate that day. And we'll have our chaplain will be given a little invocation type thing. It's not going to take very long, but we really would love to have the vets, and the VFW will be there, and so will the American Legion.
And that's at 10 a.m. on Friday?
10 a.m. on Friday. And if they go to the big memorial, just look to the left. You'll see us.
Well, and I happened to be through the area a couple of weeks ago on a very windy day, and for the first time in a long time, I was able to appreciate the true spectacle that memorial is. You know, they had some problems with the flag and the flagpole for a while, but that's been resolved. And on a day when the wind is billowing and blowing, what a special place and what a great location that is in our community to honor veterans, including Vietnam veterans.
Well, that is a spectacular monument. I mean, bar none. It really is lovely. But the reason that we put ours where we put ours was because we did we canvassed and found out that that's what the Vietnam vets wanted. And, you know, they're very private. So that's what we did. We honored what they wanted.
Friday, 10 a.m. at the Veterans Memorial Park in Litchfield. Rose, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. Thanks for all the good work the DAR does.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark, and hope to see everybody there.
What do you call someone who puts your family's interests ahead of their own? Someone who takes time to listen without rushing you or passing judgment. Someone you can count on to help guide you through one of life's most difficult times. At Watkins Funeral Home, we call someone like that a friend of the family. For families making funeral arrangements in Litchfield, there's only one thing you need to know. You've got a friend at Watkins Funeral Home. For more information, visit us online at rogers-watkins.com.
Everybody get ready, time to start a new day. Let's hit the ground running in a healthy way. Take a first to fitness, even if it's just a little. Soon you'll be feeling just as fit as a fiddle. Fit as a fiddle on a July night. A walk around town will make you feel alright. Take the first step to fitness, even if it's just a little. Soon you'll be feeling just as fit as a fiddle.
Community Health Partners want you to be as fit as a fiddle.
Thinking about furthering your education? At Elizabethtown Community and Technical College, you'll get a high-quality education close to home at a cost that won't break the bank. Enjoy small class sizes with professors who take a personal interest in your success. Scholarships are still available, making our low tuition even more affordable.
ECTC's Litchfield campus is now enrolling for classes that start June 3rd.
Visit elizabethtown.kctcs.edu to get started. ECTC, college for the real world.
Apple is going to launch its Vision Pro headset in China later this year. Company CEO Tim Cook announced the plan to the Chinese media during his visit to that country. Vision Pro launched in the U.S. in February at a price point of $3,500. A judge dismissing a lawsuit from Elon Musk against the Hate Speech Oversight Group. The owner of X alleged in his case that the Center for Countering Digital Hate illegally gathered data from the social media platform to report on the spread of hate speech and misinformation online. Judge Charles Breyer ruled the lawsuit sought to punish the CCDH. OpenAI has registered a trademark for the name Voice Engine. The trademark registration covers details like voice assistance, automatic voice recognition, and voice generation. The application has been accepted but not yet assigned to an examiner. And the European Union is launching an investigation into Meta, Alphabet, and Apple. The probe falls under the EU's new technology law. The Digital Markets Act prohibits big tech from steering customers away from third parties that provide similar services. Tech Report, Mark Mayfield, NBC.
We all say that we'll quit someday. When a ship comes in, we'll just sail away. We just blow smoke.
Today is Make Your Own Holiday Day.
Well,
It's Purple Day. It's Spinach Day. That's Dennis's favorite green vegetable.
I like raw spinach.
And it is, yeah, I do too. I don't care for the canned variety. And it is Solitude Day. So just spend the rest of your day by yourself.
I like that.
So enjoy that. I made reference at the top of the show to the Dennis C. Cook birthday, 6-month birthday tour. Mm-hmm. And I might be overstating it by just a tad, perhaps a day or so, but it's no less than 3 months anyway. And really trying to upstage Sam and taking his birthday
Well, I
from
mean,
him.
I felt bad because like Ken Hallett and Chase Blaine, they didn't even get like a. I mean, because they were right before it. It's not like they even got a handshake from anyone.
Yeah, I mean, just jumping on people's days. But last Tuesday, you went and met Southern Dad. What was this? What's his name?
Yes, Southern Dad,
Southern
Dane the
Dad.
Great on all forms of social media. So
Okay.
Dane the Great, he is this character of Southern Dad where he puts on this old race NASCAR hat and he has this tight polo shirt and the white New Balances and the khakis, and he's always having trouble with his mower. He can't get the weed eater started. He's always waving at the neighbors,
Yeah.
Answers the phone, yelling on the phone because he can't hear. I just love that character. I got to meet him, and then Ed Bassmaster, who is the Would You Look at It viral guy. He does a lot of characters as well.
He's a Cincinnati guy, I think.
I think he's from
Okay.
Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken.
But maybe he lives up there?
Maybe he lives in Cincinnati.
Well, I on Dane the Great on Southern Dad. I didn't go down the rabbit hole, but I got a pretty good idea on where he's coming from because one of the first ones I saw is that deal where he goes, "Y'all go with us." Like in the South, whenever you get ready to leave and go somewhere, like, y'all go with us. But no one ever goes, and it's not a real invitation to go, but it's your way of saying we're leaving. So this conversation is ending unless y'all want to go with us. And so
That's exactly right.
I saw, it's pretty good. Then
He's really everybody's uncle or dad or some male figure in your family. Everybody grew up with one of these guys. It's the guy at Thanksgiving who's always saying, "Don't forget to write your name on the cup."
That's right.
Who touched the thermostat? That kind of guy.
Everybody has that uncle. Now, everyone's favorite cousin ever, you got a chance to meet on Friday when you met Randy Quaid.
I did. It was so cool. Sarah and I went to Indianapolis after she got off work to the Indy Comic Con. I got to meet Cousin Eddie, Randy Quaid, and then Anthony Daniels, who is C-3PO in every Star Wars movie ever made. So Randy Quaid was just like, he seriously was like normal Joe. He had you can tell in the picture, he had this like hooded sweatshirt on.
Yeah.
And he just comes out from like behind the curtain there, and it was like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Dude, I just drove 3 hours to meet you. You have one of the greatest characters in any movie ever made." He goes, "Listen, I appreciate that." He said, "I hear it all the time, but it never gets old." And he goes, "Where y'all from?" So we kind of talked a little bit about that, and he goes, okay. He goes, "Let's take a picture." Of course, I paid for the picture, and so we took it, and he signed my little Funko Pop there, and he talked to us for a couple minutes, and just as nice as could be. Is what you would hope from a character that you have beloved over the years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oftentimes, they end up being a disappointment, and that's regretful. But I guess I would have been so conflicted in your shoes because even a couple years ago when I met Dale Earnhardt Jr., I had to spend time like, okay, what's my lead zinger? Like I get one shot to make Dale Earnhardt Jr. laugh. And so what's my line going to be? But Dale Earnhardt Jr. is not someone who is funny. Yeah. But Randy Quaid is funny, so then that makes it even harder. Like, I got to stick this landing. So I see you went for the modest, you're great, I'm terrible, blah, blah, blah routine.
That's kind of my go-to unless I'm talking to you guys. But
I got you. Okay, now. That's why I was confused.
With these guys, I think they hear that people try to be funny with him all the time or like say the line. Or,
sure.
Could you do, what was it like, in the robe outside? I'd try to stay away from all that and just compliment them and say, thank you for your dedication to your craft and things like that. And encourage them to have a great weekend. I want to be a positive influence on them, somebody different for them,
But, everyone associates him with Cousin Eddie, without a doubt. I mean, he can't go anywhere and that not be that not be who people identify him with. But right there in the poster over his right shoulder, though, is a really good reminder that he's more than a one-trick pony. I mean, his character in Kingpin is one of the urinal scene. I mean, like it is so, that movie is underappreciated, I think, and it gets overshadowed as far as his movies go by Christmas Vacation. But he's got some good roles.
Just look at that pic, for example. I'm 6'2".
Oh,
When
yeah.
when he came out from behind the curtain, I had no idea that he was a big of a guy as he is. You know, he's kind of slender for his height, but he just towered over me walking up to me, and it's like, you know, he's just a big guy, but he had a big personality, but he was also just as quiet and humble at the same time. Like, he wasn't this loud, outgoing personality. And Anthony Daniels was just as humbled by the outpouring of the line. Like, we waited in line for about an hour or so, and then there were 40 people ahead of us for Anthony Daniels, and it was the first day of the con. And he was very soft-spoken, super kind, gracious, and overwhelmed at the outpouring of affection. So it was a really neat experience.
Who did C-3PO's voice?
He did.
He did. Okay, so I didn't know if it was a Vader situation where
No.
James Earl Jones was the voice, but some guy who
No,
you would laugh at if you heard him talk was
when he came out, he had a panel and we were all waiting in line. When he came out and he just said, I just want to say thank you all for waiting in line. It was like UPO was right there. I mean, it was his voice. It was just amazing.
Did he have an effects box, that made it do that little?
It was the same way with Bozo the Clown. I got to meet Bozo the Clown like 3 weeks ago in Lexington at a con, and this was the Bozo from like 84 to 2001, and all of a sudden my childhood was just back. That file was opened, and it was Bozo the Clown. It was really cool. So these guys they've made so many memories and nostalgic, memories with us, so it's pretty cool.
Sam, you're in deep when you just call it a con.
Yeah, you took the question out. I guess we're not cool enough to call it a con.
I was at the con. But if you all went, it would be a convention. But I'm at a con when I.
I mean, I mean, he's getting a little snooty.
I've been to 3 in like 4 months, so I mean, come on.
So it is not overstatement for me to say that your birthday is lasting more than 3 months. I mean, just.
Well, yeah,
so.
I guess if you look at it that way, but sure.
Something tells me.
Let's keep. Hey, our Christmas tree is still up, by the way, in our living room. So we like to hang on to celebrating these things. So I know that makes your all's day.
You realize yesterday was 3 months, right?
Milk it for all it's worth.
My wife wants the tree up still. We've taken the ornaments off, but it's just pretty. The lights on it, and the lights are out in the living room, and it's lit up. It's just kind of a neat little decoration that we're too lazy to put away.
Did Strawberry Queen have any commentary following our lunch last Tuesday?
I think Strawberry Queen would have rather been doing anything else.
She didn't like having to witness our lunch.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I think we were just in awe of Alex being there and the food that he ate. No, we all had a good time, enjoyed our time together, and we missed that when not being in the studio, being able to catch up after segments or after shows and have that connection. So I'm glad that we're doing that and connecting that way. Sam, been missing you, but sorry you haven't been there.
Yeah, I didn't. The invite must have gotten lost in the mail. So
happy
Sam's
late birthday, though.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Your birthday present was you didn't have to endure us for one moment longer than you had to. A mom's plea against the worst. Oh, before I do that, Dennis, I'm supposed to mention Easter coming up. You gotta have Easter event on Saturday.
Oh my goodness, what a big week for all Christians out there, for all churches. We had the Lord's Supper this past Sunday, and Doug's walked us through a series about words spoken from the cross each Sunday. And then this Saturday, we're having a community-wide Easter egg hunt at 10 a.m. on our playground here at our church, and the weather's supposed to be beautiful. We have about 5,000 eggs ready to be hidden in plain sight, and we're going to have a great turnout for that, I know. And then on Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, Easter Sunday morning, a worship service with the choir. Then we're going to be taking pictures outside with families after the service. So really big week for lots of folks, lots of things going on in our community. So thanks for letting me share about that.
Hey, no problem. And I also should remind, Friday morning is the Good Friday service. The crosswalk begins at 11:30 on the square, and then that walk concludes, I think it's at Clearview. I think former pastor from the Methodist Church, I think, is actually giving the message, but I think the service is at Clearview. So that
Yes.
walk begins at it. Is that right, Sam?
Yes, starts
So
at
the-
11:30 in the parking lot of Litchfield Methodist and service at noon at Clearview Baptist.
Okay, all right, very good. So I think they go up around the square. I think maybe but they start there at the Methodist Church, go up, and then make their way down to Clearview. So good way to spend your Friday, your Good Friday, and I have it on pretty good authority. Dennis, you're going to be back on Friday?
Yes, honored to be back for the show on Friday.
Very good. I read we are now just a couple of weeks away from the eclipse. Going to be visible across part of North America. So you'll remember a few years ago, Russellville, Kentucky was one of the areas. I think like Hopkinsville maybe was close to being the best place, but Russellville was also in the path of a long totality. Interestingly enough, Russellville, Arkansas is one of the best places to see it this year. So, you know, it bids well for you if you live in a town called Russellville. In the future, you might get a good eclipse. But I saw this week that the totality is being forecasted about 4.5 minutes. So someone went and dug out the radio edit of a particular #1 single, and it happens to be 4 minutes and 27 seconds. So when the totality starts, if you'll fire up Bonnie Tyler, the radio edit, it'll come to a conclusion about the time that the totality ends.
I didn't know the song was that long.
Well, the album version like 7 minutes. The video is that long, but the radio edit 4 minutes 27 seconds. Got to get to a break. We'll come back. Got more on the way. Hang around here on In the Know.
There's nothing I can do, a total eclipse of the heart.
We only started this road trip 15 minutes ago. And we have about 6 hours left. But there's a McDonald's right off this exit. And that kind of feels like fate. Deal.
Get a McDouble, McChicken, 4 McNuggets, or small fries. Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Valid per product of equal or lesser value.
Celebrate the big horse race at the Paristown Derby Day Garden Party, presented by Woodford Reserve at Paristown on Saturday, May 4th. Wager and watch the races. Enjoy live music, cocktails, food, and more. VIP and general admission ticket options available. VIP tickets include box lunch, complimentary drinks, and private spaces. Tickets on sale now at Paristown.com. Don't miss Paristown's Derby Party for the people.
Alexa Rastigue was a student at Bellarmine University. When she got the call, no one wants to receive.
A drunk driver was driving under the influence, going 127 miles per hour.
He caused a crash, killing 2 and severely injuring Alexa's mother and brother.
He left that scene without a scratch, while my family suffered.
Drive sober, Kentucky, because drunk driving is a dead end.
Paid with funds through the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety.
Do you know what red flags to look for when considering an investment opportunity? Fraudulent sellers might make unsolicited contact, tell you everyone is buying it, and pressure you to invest right now. They make hefty promises over the phone, but never put them in writing. At the Department of Financial Institutions, we have a saying. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. We're on a mission to educate Team Kentucky and protect your hard-earned dollars. Visit us online at kfi.ky.gov for more information.
My heart was racing just making spaghetti. I could have waited to tell my doctor, but I didn't wait.
I was short of breath just reading a book. I could have delayed telling my doctor, but I didn't wait. They told their doctors and found out they have atrial fibrillation, a condition which makes it about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. If you have one or more of these symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All-American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251.
Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
K105 weather from the Wave Storm Tracking Team is brought to you by Smith Overhead Door. SOHD.info.
Twin Lakes weather. Windy with a period of light rain through the early afternoon, and then we'll see a chance maybe some thunder being added into the mix about mid to late afternoon. Now, all areas will see some rainfall, but that chance will certainly be there, especially along and east of I-65. Temperatures in the 60s tonight. We'll get rid of the rain and the wind. We'll cool down into the upper 30s and lower 40s. From Wave Storm Tracking Team, I'm Brian Good.
Today's Did You Know is brought to you by ECTC's Litchfield campus, College for the Real World. It's affordable, it's right here at home, and you can get on the path to continuing education today. They're registering for classes now that begin on June 3rd, so you have plenty of opportunity to get organized, get your financial aid figured out, get your schedule taken care of, and get locked in. College for the Real World, ECTC's Litchfield campus, where they say, did you know? Like, don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot ECTC. Did you know people who post their fitness routine on social media are more likely to have psychological problems? People who post their fitness routine on social media are more likely to have psychological problems.
Is that like me lifting weights, or I ran this path today and here's the map?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that to that. Now, here's the one kind of pushback that I would put on that. I think having accountability partners is important. You know, like having a source that you can turn to that holds you accountable, going, hey, you didn't get that right today, or hey. Yeah. So if you don't have someone close enough to you that's part of your pledge to doing better, is I'm going to post that so that it's a public acknowledgement that I've made a commitment to it and I'm keeping to it. I can kind of see that, but so anyway, it puzzled me when I saw the list. All right, so we covered last segment that UConn met Randy Quaid and what's C-3PO's name again? Anthony Daniels. Met them. We've also covered times before that you are a collector of memorabilia.
Oh, yeah, man.
So I'm going to run through a list of things that have sold recently for auction, and I'd like to know which of these you would like to have most, or you think might be the greatest value.
Or maybe I got them. But go ahead.
Do we need to look behind on his bookshelf there? Is there something?
Well, I think based upon what you told me last week, you're going to need to ask Doug to come in and sit beside you.
Yes, that's right. Doug's got a great collection. Doug has the collection. I just have little baby items.
The Titanic door that saved Kate Winslet's Rose life sold for $718,000 at auction.
I don't, why would you want, wouldn't it be nice to have a $750,000 to drop just because you want to?
I guess if that's your business and you see it as an opportunity and you deal in this type of thing all the time, that's one thing. Maybe it's a business opportunity or speculating on something. But then I think we do lose track that there are classes of people in the world, some of which live in the United States, but some of which live in other pieces of the world where, $718,000 is, yes, a lot of money, but they don't blink at spending that type of money. I would hope they would spend it on something more than a door. that Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio touched.
Ooh, thumbs down on that one.
Harrison Ford's whip from Temple of Doom.
Now this
$525,000.
That makes more sense.
It's still a lot of
The
money.
Holy Grail from The Last Crusade, the Carpenter's Cup, $87,500.
That's it? I figured that would be much more.
I think the real Holy Grail, probably a little more.
Yes. Yeah, maybe. It just depends.
What about Monty Python's?
Although depending upon what
about Monty
who you
Python's
consider,
Holy
the
Grail?
Holy Grail might be a who, so you. Bill Murray's Red Rose Bowling Ball from Kingpin, $350,000.
Wow.
The scene where his hand goes down the lane, you know, Munson's hand where it's stuck in the ball and it goes rolling end over end. Hilarious. Jack Nicholson's axe from The Shining, $125,000. What's a symbiote suit? SYMBIOTE from Spider-Man.
That's like, isn't it like Venom, one of the Venom guys, where he turned into the black version of...
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's right. Tobey Maguire's black symbiote suit, however you pronounce that, $125,000 from the Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3, yeah.
And then in Jurassic Park, Wayne Knight, hello Newman, the shaving cream can that he carried the dinosaur embryos in sold for $250,000. Wow. So of that list, Dennis, let's put the price tags aside.
Okay.
Of the list, which would you like to have in your collection most?
Most, I'm probably going to say Indiana Jones whip.
Yeah, that's the right answer.
Whip or the...
You did that just to take it so Sam couldn't take it. Now that it's no longer up for grabs.
Sam wasn't asked, so I think I claimed it. So, sorry, buddy.
Is this retribution because he wouldn't share toilet paper with you?
No, it's
not? Okay.
It's the fact that
He just wants to, it's my birthday period now, and he just wants to crap on it again and just come over top of it. So I see how it is. Just wants to keep on rolling it.
Talk about the snack about the brackets yesterday as well. So
Wow. I just looked down and I had to look way down to the bottom and see you.
Yeah, but it ain't over.
You don't really think you're going to come back into this thing, do you, Dennis?
Hey, I have an opportunity to win.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. In our pool?
In a pool.
In a pool. All right. I got you. All right. MB's Pearl of Wisdom for today is coming up, as well as the Point to Ponder, chart toppers, and more. Hang around here on In the Know.
One of the greatest steps a couple can take to build a strong, healthy marriage is to routinely talk with each other about the state of their relationship. But that's not so easy for many couples to do. They talk about work and the kids, but they don't talk about themselves. If you and your spouse struggle to connect at a deeper level, remember the word CORE. C-O-R-E is an acrostic developed by Dr. Harold Arnold to help couples reignite their intimacy. The C stands for commitment. Commit to spending time together each week in conversation without distractions. During your talk, your goal is to be open, which is the letter O in the word CORE. Developing marital intimacy will require you to be open with your spouse about your desires and your fears. You'll also want to repent, which is the letter R. Repent is an uncommon word for many people, but its meaning is simple. Own up to your mistakes and be willing to forgive your spouse for theirs. Finally, the letter E stands for empathy. Your spouse will only be vulnerable with you if they trust that you love them. Be willing to listen without judgment to what they say and respond with understanding and compassion. Commitment, openness, repentance, and empathy, the core of marriage. If you and your spouse put these important behaviors into practice, you're well on your way to deeper, more fulfilling marital intimacy. For Focus on the Family, I'm Jim Daly.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten. Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
Congratulations! You're gonna be a mom, and we're here to help every adorably tiny step of the way. Now, expectant and new mothers up to 1 year are eligible for no-cost health coverage through K-CHIP or Medicaid. Just visit us at connect.ky.gov/K-CHIP to qualify and enroll. Then sit back and relax for a minute, okay? You've got enough going on.
When I was a little girl, I had a rag doll, only doll I've ever owned.
MB's Point to Ponder for today.
Now I love
What is the absolute worst movie you've ever watched? What is the absolute worst movie you've ever watched?
There's so many.
So I thought about it for a while. I've had longer to think about it than you all have, so I'll go first. I decided, after I considered the big healthy list, I decided it was Mayberry Man. Ooh. But that's a lie. I've not seen it, so I can't say that it's the worst because I've never watched it. So then what I did was I decided then I would just say Discarding Santa. Since I'm in it, I can say worst movie I've ever seen.
There you go.
But I did look at a list of the worst movies, according to critics, that are ever made, of the ones that you've seen.
Yeah.
Number 24 on the list, I'm sure I saw this when it came out. Look Who's Talking Now. So if you did Look Who's Talking, then you did Look Who's Talking 2. And then they went back to the well one too many times because now the dogs talk. So it's considered the 24th worst movie of all time, and I know I've seen it.
Okay.
At number 23 was Staying Alive, which was they were really trying to hold on to the success of Saturday Night Fever.
Okay.
And so it's not even a real sequel. It was just, let's put John Travolta in another dancing movie and see if we can cash in. So those are some that are bad.
Can we just play that song just for posterity's sakes?
Yeah, thank you so much.
You never know when it might appear. Or a first cousin to that song might appear.
You know, this probably
So Dennis,
make people upset. You know, I'm
do you know the worst movie you've ever seen?
I'm dealing with Sam's mom here on the show thread, and I'm just trying to recover from that. But
she's not
I
happy.
make other people mad too.
Okay, pay attention.
Grease.
Pay attention here.
I think Grease is one of the worst movies ever made.
Whoa.
It's one of the Strawberry Queen's most favorite movies, and I watch it with her.
So, but that's why it is. That's why.
No,
You've decided it's worse. You've decided it's bad.
So would you rather watch Grease or a Hallmark movie?
Probably a Hallmark movie.
Wow.
Okay, so he says Grease because he doesn't like a hickey from Kinnicky. All right, Sam, what?
I don't watch enough movies to have an answer to this. Like, if I don't like it, I'm turning it off. Like, I'm not going all the way into... I mean, there are movies that I don't like, but I wouldn't call them bad movies. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the movie WALL-E, but I don't think it's a bad movie.
So I'm going with then Maestro must be really bad. I've never seen WALL-E, so I can't tell you.
You've never seen WALL-E?
No, I've never seen WALL-E.
WALL-E's my favorite Pixar movie.
Well, I
knew you liked it.
That is just the falsest thing you've ever said on this show,
Got them
Dennis.
over here on my shelf. WALL-E and
On TV tonight, Night Court, The Voice, Will Trent, and The Cleaning Lady on Fox. There's a new 2-part Steve Martin documentary on Apple TV Plus. I'm probably going to watch that in the next couple of days.
Looks good. Can I borrow somebody's Apple TV Plus?
Yeah, come on. Well, you can't borrow it. You'll have to come over.
Yes. Finally an invite.
I'm not invited though.
Today, you didn't
Why are
speak
you
up.
smiling,
You didn't
Sam?
act like you wanted Steve Martin. Today's highlight in history, this date in 1997, the bodies of 39 members of Heaven's Gate techno-religious cult who committed suicide were found inside a rented mansion in Rancho Santa Fe, California. Beethoven passed away this date in 1827. Beethoven. That's Will and Ted. Yeah, that's
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted, yeah. Ludwig. The Young and the Restless premiered this date in 1973. Now, we said yesterday was a great day for birthdays, and it was. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But think about this. Well, wait a minute. Before I get to birthdays, I need to mention an arrival. We inferred to an impending arrival on Friday, but the arrival hadn't taken place, and it really wasn't our place to say anything yet because the parents hadn't said anything. But we have a new baby in the K105 family. Pearl Newton was delivered on Friday, and Dad and Mom. I think it's funny. We asked for a photo. We got a photo of Dad and Pearl, but Sarah's the one that did all the work. Sarah should be in the photograph going, I'm the champion here. So we get Zach instead. But congratulations to the Newtons and welcome baby Pearl into the world. She was born on Friday.
Yes. I was going to do the picture of her and her older brother Malcolm because Malcolm has been protector, but didn't go to that.
Yes. Yeah.
Malcolm's a four-legged older brother.
Let's face it. Zach and Malcolm had very little to do with any of it. So I just think that. Okay. So the birthdays for today. Listen to this list. Nancy Pelosi is 84. Bob Woodward is 81. Diana Ross is 80. Steven Tyler is 76. Vicki Lawrence is 75. Martin Short is 74. Alan Silvestri, the composer of many movie compositions, but in particular Forrest Gump. He is 74 today. Elaine Chao is 71. Lisa Gibbons is 67. Jennifer Gray is 64. Marcus Allen is 64. John Stockton is 62. Michael Imperioli is 58. Kenny Chesney is 56. Leslie Mann is 52. Margaret Brennan from Face the Nation is 44. Keira Knightley is 39. And Jonathan Groff, who is in Frozen, is 39. He also played King George in the original cast of Hamilton. 39 today. Gone but not forgotten, Condé Nast, Robert Frost, Duncan Hines, Tennessee Williams, Sandra Day O'Connor, Leonard Nimoy, Alan Arkin, and James Caan, all born on March the 26th.
James Caan's dead?
Yeah. He died during COVID.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
Well, and on the backside of COVID, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, July the 6th of 2022. My goodness.
I defy you to find another day of the year that is going to have a more prolific group of celebrity births or gone but not forgotten than that.
Maybe Ed Sheeran's birthday?
Okay.
I think he's the only one born on that day because everyone just vacated the area.
Happy birthday to him whenever that is.
You wanted me to ask you that yesterday?
No.
Friday, okay? So be back for the Good Friday show. MB's Pearl of Wisdom for today says the main thing is not so much where you stand, but in what direction you're moving. The main thing is not so much in where you stand, but in the direction you are moving. MB's Pearl of Wisdom for today. Remember, God loves you, and I do too. If you don't know Jesus, let me know, and I'll introduce you. Look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow for another edition of our show. For Dennis Cook, for Sam Gormley, I'm MB, and now you're in the know.
Powering through the Twin Lakes with the best mix of music, news, weather, and fun. If it's in the Twin Lakes, it's on.